Ready to start? I'd like to welcome you to the first of, I hope, an annual event in the town of Cave Creek, and that is the State of the Town, modeled after what the president does, State of the Union, modeled after what almost all the cities and towns in Maricopa County do, which is they have a report to people of kind of what happened in the past and what they can expect in the future. I'm Bob Morris. I'm the mayor of the town. And I'm very, very happy you're here. And I'm really happy that we have seats for everybody. We have no idea how many people are in this county. So we're glad to see you all here today. Cave Creek is also very fortunate that we have a new town manager, Mr. Grady Miller. He's in the front here. Grady. I believe Mayor Crane was, he's probably still on his phone. He's walking in the door. And here he is, Mayor John Crane. This was not planned. And I'm really pleased to announce that Monday night at the council meeting, our state senator, John Kavanaugh, will be in attendance and will address the council. So if you have nothing to do Monday night, listen online or show up in person. So the first thing on the agenda today is our video. Are we ready, fellas, with the, yep, here we go.
Hello, I'm Catherine Royer, Vice Mayor of the town of Cave Creek. As we begin another new year, Mayor Bob Morris, our 5 town council members, and I would like to briefly reflect on the town's successes and challenges in 2023 with our residents, businesses, and visitors. Everything starts with our financial viability. We're fortunate to report that Cave Creek is in an excellent financial position, with revenues exceeding expenses, which allows us to move forward with essential projects throughout town. These projects include collaborating with our community with a ribbon-cutting event for preserving 30.6 acres of open space abutting the Spur Cross Ranch Conservation Area. We held a groundbreaking ceremony for an innovative land-sharing agreement with the Foothills Food Bank. Significant infrastructure improvements have been completed at the Cave Creek Rodeo grounds, and 7 iconic businesses in Cave Creek have been recognized as local landmarks. With respect to our eclectic Cave Creek Town Core, we've held 2 public engagement meetings and created a web page for the Town Core Plan, which is being updated after 10 years. Rehabilitation of our medians is underway, beginning with the transplant of native plants from other building sites around the town. We're focusing on improving pedestrian pathways for increased safety, including flashing beacon lights for crosswalks and additional sheriff's patrols to help reduce the speed of drivers. We've met with Town Core merchants on 2 occasions to improve business relations and share ideas for improved parking and visitor engagement. In terms of public works, the damaged welcome sign located in the entry to our town has been replaced. Arroyo Road has been modified to serve as a safety exit for residents during emergencies. Much delayed but necessary road and curb improvements can now be seen taking place throughout town. It goes without saying that water is always at the top of the list of priorities. We're making significant Town Core improvements that help us measure our data to determine water losses. While we've had significant staffing issues at the water treatment facility, we've managed to add and calibrate flow meters to improve the accounting of water losses for conservation purposes. The first design phase of an interconnection with Phoenix has been completed, which ultimately will serve as a backup water supply in times of emergencies. Leaking service lines in our water distribution system have been completely replaced rather than patched. Our meter replacement program has begun for more accurate readings and early leak detection. Last but not least, we've been able to store 1 year's worth of our precious Colorado River water supplies underground via the Central Arizona Project for future use. As a result of the establishment of a Cave Creek Fire Department in 2021, in association with Daisy Mountain Fire Department, remodeling of the previous Cave Creek Fire Station is underway to provide additional space for fire trucks and a cleaner, safer environment for firefighters. This year, Cave Creek was the grateful recipient of a grant from Firehouse Subs for an emergency service vehicle to reach lost hikers in Spur Cross, among other purposes. The Town of Cave Creek staff and our fellow council members are diligently working to serve the best interests of the town. To that end, we recently celebrated the hiring of a new town manager, Grady Miller, who replaces retiring Carrie Dyrek after 26 years at Town Hall. We hope you agree we have employed successful financial, operational, and managerial strategies to meet and exceed the needs of our community. We thank you for your trust in our abilities and look forward to another successful year in 2024.
Well, the highest priority of any government is public safety. The crash and injury statistics are tabulated street by street and intersection by intersection, not only here, but across the state. And Cave Creek has a problem. It first came to light about 2 or 3 years ago, and since then we've completed a number of studies. But Cave Creek Road stands out as a real problem with vehicle pedestrian accidents. And so you probably know some activity in town to attack this. It's multidimensional. The first step is well underway and has been for over a year, and that is increased enforcement. First of all, we have traffic stops by our own marshal, who's in the back of the room. We have dedicated and increased the sheriff department officers. They're also making speeding stops. And we have a volunteer from the retired sheriff department crew, who's also, so we have three groups out there writing tickets. At last Monday's meeting, there was a really surprising statistic. Of the tickets we've given out, 70% have been to residents. Is anybody surprised by that? I really was, because I really expected, through traffic, trying to get through town, going to part of the lake, wherever they're going, that would be, but no, it's people in the town. It has not been me yet. You've probably also seen a lot of work down on the east side of town in the entertainment district with curbing, with streets, with walkways, with barriers, with no parking signs, with new parking, both in some of the facilities, and the town has dedicated some of our spare land to parking down there. It's all in an effort to keep people out of the streets. If you come by there on Friday nights and you see people in motorcycle clothes, dark clothes, walking from the highway to the roadhouse. And in the past, they almost had to walk in the street because we didn't have any walkways down there, especially like from Circle K. But we've taken care of that. That project is just about finished. There are just a few more things to be done back in that area. We've also put in walkways around the Buffalo Chip, so people who are going to see the bull riding on Wednesday and Friday nights have a safe place to get off of Jack Cartwright Street there. Another item that we have going on for traffic safety are we're going to put 3 new lighted crosswalks in so that when you push the button, people can walk across the street safely at night. Those will be spread out across town, one down in front of Harold's. And let me read my notes here. One in Cave Creek and Hidden Valley, one near local Johnny's, and a crosswalk at Harold's and the Roadhouse. So there'll be 3 in total spaced along Cave Creek Road. We also have plans to install a new crosswalk at Cave Creek Road at Hilltop. That's right near the Dairy Queen and the Kiwanis Marketplace. In addition to traffic and pedestrian improvements, the town will be beautifying the medians. You probably noticed a lot of new saguaro cactus going up in the medians, and there's a lot more to come. Whenever we have a construction project like we have on the Royal Road with that safety bypass you saw on the video here, the plants that are recovered from that area are brought into the medians and the other areas in town where you can be on display rather than destroyed. The next thing I'd like to talk about is an improvement in our community grant program. This year, the town will implement an improved process around the grant program that's designed to direct a modest portion of our financial resources to other organizations, 501c3 organizations that are in the community and providing services that a lot of times governments would supply in other areas. It's a grant program, so each of the organizations that wishes money, and they have to be 501c3 charities, can apply. Unfortunately, the deadline is the 4th, so that's been noted in a lot of places. So we've had a lot of information out there that the applications are due. But if you're thinking about applying for that would be a good time. Those will be evaluated by a 5-person crew. It will include 1 council member, 2 residents, 1 business leader, and 1 senior staff member. And they will make a recommendation to council for approval on which of the organizations should receive the funds. It's really nice to be in a position like this. The town was not always in the kind of financial position that we are in right now. We have almost 2 years worth of general fund revenues in the bank ready to go. The water companies, the utility companies are all functioning at a break even except for the wastewater, and that's hopeless. So that is still being funded, for now, but we have plans. So that includes a sales tax. Sales tax is going there, and the town has also donated some of the money from the general fund over there to keep it solvent. And that will continue probably until the late about 2028, when those loans are paid off, because we reduced the town indebtedness from 63 million down to about 20 million now. So we are on a trajectory straight up on our financial situation, and it's looking better as we get into the future. Water is always a hot topic in Cave Creek. It has been since we acquired the water businesses 20 years ago. Compounding that problem is the drought in the Colorado River. It's been going on for 25 to 30 years, depending on who you want to talk to. So far, we've really not seen any impacts to our customer base. We have been able to use the water we had, and we also supply water to Desert Hills. So that's a total of almost 8,000 customers that we are responsible on being a good citizen and supplying those water needs. That's essential. So the Colorado River, many, many years ago, decades ago, was allocated to the 7 basin states. There's an upper basin and a lower basin. It was allocated at 17 million acre feet a year. Unfortunately, it's only running at 11 million acre feet a year. And you've probably seen all the stories in the paper about how Lake Mead is dropping, and they're afraid that Las Vegas will run out of water because their suction pipe is not high enough out there. We had a good winter last year, and we may have a good winter this year, but we still have the long-term problem of this area that we live in. This desert has had droughts as far back as we go. I just always think of the information in the anthropology that in 1100, all the Indians dispersed from the valley here due to drought. And there were major changes in Arizona, even as far back as 1,000 years ago. The other major problem on water is our own infrastructure. We've already completed a number of measures to address this, and everyone who's been in town for a while know that that's my entree into town government. One of the first things we did was we stopped new development in Desert Hills. We're supplying our existing customers, but we don't have enough water for their growth and our growth too. In fact, our growth is a few years from being limited by water. So we're taking some steps to try to solve that. But our state doesn't have any more water. How they're putting in all the chip plants and bringing the people in, I really don't know, because we've only got 11 million acre feet of water coming here, and it's pretty much being used right now. The plans are to take it away from agriculture. Agriculture in Arizona using Colorado River water is going to be very tough in the future. As Catherine mentioned in the diagram, in the video behind me here, we have banked almost a year's supply of water, and Catherine was the champion of that effort. This water is being put into the ground out near Tonopah in the Central Arizona Project reservoirs underground. And so we have a year's supply, and if we ever had a deep curtailment, we'd first try to solve that curtailment with conservation measures, but we have that water sitting there that we could either trade or we could put equipment in to pump it out of the ground, put it in the canal and bring it into town. Another thing we've done is we've purchased almost 600 acre-feet of lower priority water. This is not water you can build a house on because it's a lower priority than the main water supply the town has. And that 600 acre-feet has been and could be curtailed in the future. But when you have an opportunity to buy water in Arizona, it's a good idea to do it. So we've done that. We're able to partially use some of that for our banking program. Some of the future measures, and this is one that is really dear to my heart, and that's the Phoenix Interconnect project. The town is dependent on a 13-mile pipeline that starts down the Central Arizona Project Canal and pumps up this way through 4 pump stations. And it goes into our training facility. And then it goes into the distribution system, kind of behind local Johnny's, and it's spread out all over our area and plus Desert Hill. Well, that pipeline and that system has many, many single points of failure, which means if one thing goes wrong, if one transformer goes down, or if a car hits one of those facilities on a Friday night, the town is out of water. And we have a shutdown on that about once a year. So far, they've not been catastrophic, but they could be. Some of the things, the equipment on those lines are long lead time. It takes months and months to get some of that equipment. So we've had a project that's been in the works for a number of years, and that is to have a backup to that system through Phoenix. So Phoenix is building a pipeline up here. We're going to tie into that pipeline. We're going to build a new facility with storage tanks and pumps so that we'll be able to supply water just by opening a valve if something happens to that long pipeline. That is, in my view, that is probably the most critical thing in town. Because town governments like ours deal with existential issues. Water, police, fire, sewers, roads. Those are things we deal with. Those are things you need every single day. And we're not playing up in the fuzzy stuff they do in Washington or downtown in Phoenix. We've got to keep our equipment rolling, and we've got to protect this town. And this project here is probably the single biggest risk we have that we can deal with. It's going to be expensive though, but we're looking at a bright future even for the water companies, because when those bonds are paid off, I was talking about a few minutes ago, that's going to leave us financial room to either reduce rates or to improve the reliability of the system. Another fact on that, we've already ordered the equipment. The long lead equipment like pumps and transformers that take a long time to build and get here. We expect that to go into operation in the spring of 2026, which is about 2 years from now. And Phoenix is doing their part too. On July 30th, voters will vote on the alternative expenditure limitations. A lot of you will know that as the home rule. The state legislature passed a law many, many years ago that limits the amount that cities and towns can spend with, I think it's 4 different options. We've always used the alternative expenditures limitation. And we've been doing that since 1999, and every 4 years, the voters have to approve that. Otherwise, you default back. Example, this year, we have a $56 million budget, mostly because of things like the Interconnect project, and we're spending 400% more money on roads this year than we did last year. We would not be able to do those things if this if this vote goes the wrong way. A failure, meaning a no vote on home rule, would limit expenditures, but it does not limit the amount of money we're bringing in through taxes. And the town has a very healthy tax base now that we have Walmart and Sprouts and with development in the town core. The revenues of the town for the general fund, which is where the sales taxes go, is quite robust right now. If we can't do that, we can't supply fire, we can't supply police, we can't fix the roads, we can't. The town would come to a halt if we could, because we only spend $6 million. In other words, about 10% of we're spending this year. So it's vitally important for the town's health that receive a yes vote. Another item that's going to come up on July 30th, in addition to this one, is the proposal for 4-year staggered terms. And what the council has done is just thrown this into the lap of the voters. The town council cannot implement 4-year terms. It has to go to the voters. And it's going to be on the ballot for you to decide whether it's a good idea or not. Currently, the town council mayor are up for election every 2 years. Carefree just voted, John Craner Frontier, Carefree just voted to go to 4-year terms, leaving, as far as I can tell, Cave Creek as the only outlier. Scottsdale, Chandler, Phoenix, Peoria, Gilbert, Glendale, Mesa, Fountain Hills, all are on 4-year staggered terms. So it's important when looking at this to realize that all the volunteers in our elected town government, all the people in our elected town government are volunteers. They're paying for their own, the gas, the time, campaigning expenses. All that is out of our own pockets, and this town's historically had a wonderful group of volunteers that are willing to do that. But there's a burden to that. 13 months ago, I was sworn in, and in January, I picked up the packet to run again. Every 2 years, you're on this cycle, you're running, it seems like you're running for office all the time. That burdens the candidates, and it limits the people who will volunteer to run our government. So the reasons that I come up with to submit this to the voters is, first and foremost, it'll improve our government because we'll have a more experienced council and mayor. People will be in there, they'll be focused on the job, they won't be running for office all the time. And candidates who will not run, if they're constantly running for office, will join the candidate pool, will have more people willing to serve the government. It also reduces the personal burden. There are unbelievable number of reports, financial reports and campaign reports and other things that happen on every election. It also reduces the number of campaign signs. There's half right there. We won't have campaign signs because there won't be elections every 2 years. So my conclusion is that 4-year terms ensure a smoother transition. You'll always have 3 experienced council members, and you'll have 3 who are running for office, and you'll have, and of course, the mayor in the off times will also have to run. So we'll always have experience on hand, ready to handle the affairs of town. And the affairs are very complicated. This is not the town it was in 2000. You got water company, 2 water companies, one for our own use, one that's an economic venture, I guess, over in Desert Hills. You have a much larger sewer system. You have a much bigger town. You have Spur Cross. You have all the annexations that have occurred. You have a fire department. That fire department is going to cost us $5 million a year. $5 million a year. That's bigger than our budget was 10 years ago, I think. And the main thing is, of the $13 million general fund, we were able to find enough money through a lot of financial actions in the water departments, especially, that we were able to fund that without any new taxes. And that's, I don't know, 40% of the budget. I don't know any other towns that could do that. The wisdom of developing along Carefree Highway really shows up there, because 45% of the people who were rural metro subscribers aren't paying that fee anymore. It's being covered by the development along Carefree Highway and Cave Creek Road. Bike Week is just around the corner, just a couple of weeks away. The event was approved at council last week. It kicks off on March 29 and it lasts about two weekends. The main problem to the town, in my observation, is the inconvenience, especially the traffic. The road is cut down to 2 lanes and the traffic, and there are lots of pedestrians, and the pedestrians interfere with traffic, and so traffic backs up. I've heard wait times of 15 minutes. But we set out to reduce that. The target is no more than a 5-minute wait time, about through a busy traffic light in Phoenix. Event organizers pay for that event. They hire extra security, restrooms, on and on and on. But the town this year rented some synchronized pedestrian safety barriers to control the pedestrians so traffic can move through town. We're going to bunch pedestrians up more so they don't shut down the road so often. They're also putting in remote cameras so they can monitor where the traffic problem is and we can respond if there's a problem. The event has always been extremely safe. Last year, we had no serious incidents, and you've got, I don't know, 10, 20,000 people who've come to town. Protecting us will be a rapid response team from Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, and Daisy Mountain will be on hand in case there are any medical, there are usually medical emergencies of one sort at these events. So Bike Week has been a safe event, but with a lot of inconvenience. And this year, this year is a continuation of our previous efforts because we made an effort last year to reduce the traffic snarls. And this year we're going to do even more. So we are really focused on reducing that inconvenience to the residents. The rodeo. Rodeo is just, and the director is, the chairman of the board is in the back of the room, Mike Bottenweimer from Carefree. He's the cowboy hat back there. And I must say, I was a rodeo volunteer until I got this job, and there is so much work that goes on. I see Luke in the back of the room. There's everybody who's a rodeo volunteer, raise your hand, would you? You ever been a rodeo volunteer? Raise your hand. Oh, well, so not as many as I thought. They have many dozens of volunteers helping out.
Probably
The people.
busy now.
Sorry?
They may be busy now.
Yeah, they're working right now, yeah. Well, it's a big part of our heritage, but it also supports local charities, and it's sold out. This is at least the second year in a row it's been sold out. They've even added another event, a all bulls, all night event that happens one day early. So the rodeo is tremendously successful. The parade will take place on Saturday, March 16th in the town core. There's a mutton busting event at 2 p.m., a cornhole tournament at 5 p.m. at Harold Corral, and the kickoff dance is at 8 p.m. again at Harold's. Harold's has always been a big supporter. Danny was on the board for many years. So many upgrades. The town does not actually own the rodeo grounds. It is owned by the BLM, leased to the county, and we lease it for them. It's some arrangement that makes my head hurt. But there was an agreement years ago that if we made some improvements out there, we can take ownership and put that into the town's portfolio. We put bleachers in 5-7 years ago, something like that. This year, we finished the criteria that I'm aware of for us to take ownership and control of that facility, and that is the restrooms. We now have permanent restrooms out there that were constructed this last year. We've also moved the fencing, so there's a larger vendor area. Again, that creates dollars to support the charities, and they rehabilitated the Cowboy Kitchen. That's where the cowboys go between rides to get a hamburger. So the volunteers are fed there too. If anybody needs a meal, volunteer for the rodeo. So we're looking forward to taking control of that facility out there. It's a part of our heritage. It only happens once a year. I've heard some ideas. We maybe want to do more, but it's more than just a once a year. There are events out there all the time to support the horse, the Western heritage, kind of the cool vibe around town. Well, it's out there at the rodeo grounds. And I believe there was a bull ring or roping event there even last weekend, and there was barrel racing out there quite a bit too. So that's the year ahead. I expect it to be a very good year. It's going to be a very busy year. It was busy last year, and I see no decrease in the amount of activity and improvements that we're going to make in the town. We have town council meetings about twice a month on the 1st and 3rd, although we're going to change that with the voting, and you don't have all of them in the summertime. So I really urge you to either come to council meetings, hear what's going on, learn about your government, learn about the challenges the town faces, how we're meeting those challenges. You have an opportunity to come in and say something for 3 minutes if you'd like. So I hope to see you at the town council meeting. The town is really on the move, and it's led by the financial strength we have now. We have money to do things. Some of you may have heard me say in the past that one of my observations from my 11 years of work starting out in the water area on the Water Advisory Committee is that the town was a great big water company with a tiny town attached to it. I mean, it just seemed like the issues in water just overwhelmed everything in town. But we're moving beyond that. It will be firmly put in the rearview mirror when those bonds are paid off. But really, we're on the cusp of being in the rearview mirror right now. We have money to put in roads, 400% increase in roads. We have money to build restrooms at the rodeo grounds. We have money to fix the roads in town and do medians. We have the money to have a bigger contribution to some of the really important charities through town. So the town is on the move. The trajectory is straight up. And we'd like you all to be a part of that. Join us at the meetings, make your voice heard, find candidates who are going to support your vision of the town, and let's make Cave Creek even better. Thank you.